Summing up our 10-day health challenge here at When Wellness. The challenge was for 10 days, can you do some form of exercise every day? Can you have only foods from nature? Can you get 8 hours of sleep? Can you have a gallon of water and a source of either probiotics, prebiotics, or both? Now, it seems, let's talk about some challenges, and I'll kind of go through how it was for me, and you guys comment how it was for you. I've already gotten some great feedback on it. And let's talk about the first challenge, and that's to eat only things from nature. This seemed to be the harder thing, honestly, for most people. You would think the exercise is the more difficult thing, but with the exercise, you can, it was any form of exercise. Now, for me, I did a rigorous form of exercise every day. 2 of the 10 days were When Wellness workouts, 3 of them, I believe. And every other day was a gym workout, and a good one at that. So, how can you sustain that without being so sore that you can't do something else? Well, first off, you can hit different muscle groups all the time, right? Now, if your chest and your tries are sore and your shoulders are sore and your legs are sore and your back is sore, say like everything, you can do weighted core. If your core is sore, are you going to do, the next time you do back, weighted pull-ups where you utilize some of your core? Maybe not. Maybe we would opt more for something like rows, seated rows on that day or something like that. So I kind of hedged everything like that, and I was sore. This is typically how I live every day. So it was not very difficult for me, but that's what it's about, is making it a lifestyle. It's not about a 10-day challenge or a New Year's resolution or anything like that. Just being healthy all the time, finding the time in the day. Now, some days I didn't have much time, right? So then we do a quick When Wellness workout. It's effective, of course, but it's only in, say, 15 minutes or 12 minutes or something of that nature. And so it's very reasonable. And a lot of the feedback I got with the exercise, people could go, they were doing a 5-minute plank during the day. They were going for a walk. Someone did a hike, things like that. Some people hit the gym every day and are dumb sore. But also, to be able to sustain that with the exercise, you need to be able to recover well. And so that means you had to be eating well, and you had to be sleeping a lot. You had to be getting those 8 hours of sleep. That's why that was part of that. It's healthy in general, but for you to be working out every day, also you have to be recovering every day. And again, that's nutrition and sleep. You don't fill a Ferrari up with regular, right? If you're going to do extra, it requires extra input to sustain that cycle, right? So finding things just from nature to eat, it seems like it can be difficult, or maybe it's not so difficult just to have things from nature, but it's difficult to find the time to prepare only things from nature, because where are you going to go out and buy food that's purely from nature? Now, having said that, I had everything that was just from nature, except the slight exceptions, which would maybe come right after the workout, included when I got my sushi. Yeah, the rice is from nature, the fish is from nature, the seaweed is from nature, the ginger's from nature, but the sauce on it, was not from nature. So I just got light sauce, so technically not 100% of what I had there was all from nature, right? But, you mitigate the damage of what's not from nature. Right? And we say damage because typically something that's not from nature is generally not good for you, unless it's in some concentrated form, like an amino acid, a branched chain amino acid that we also find in food, right? And so that was the difficult thing for a lot of people, was trying to get through being able to cook day after day after day. Now, you could either meal prep, you could do that. If you want a diverse plate, then maybe you would have to meal prep a few different things. But it's relatively reasonable, if you get when we did a day on this, if you get the bags of instant rice, that you look at the ingredients, it's all from nature. The only ingredients aside from quinoa and brown rice or, groats, whatever other oats were in there, whatever other grains were in there, is olive oil and sea salt, right? So you can, and that's 90 seconds. So that takes like 25 minutes off of the process right there. So you get a bunch of those bags and bingo, you are good to go, right? At least for the side that you're having. The vegetables, we did the frozen vegetables, right? And they have the ones you just bag in the microwave. It's like 6 minutes. You steam them. People I had some questions though. Well, was the microwave worse? Well, actually, no, it's not. You know, microwave is better than, say, even like boiling your broccoli. You know, you're better off with a microwave bag of frozen broccoli. It actually saps less nutrition out of it because it's a function of how long you're cooking it and heat you're cooking it at, right? So if it's not in there for a long time, typically, you know, it's not going to deprive the nutrient content to quite as great a degree of cooking something on high heat and for a long time, right? So there was really no problem, is the point, with microwaving things like that. So, you know, how do I get the healthy food cheap? You know, because that was another thing, right? Aside from the time, and this is the last problem I really mentioned here, because that was a big one. People didn't have that hard time with water. A lot of reports of peeing a lot, naturally, but feeling great, you know, mental clarity, having energy throughout the day. Often you're tired, you don't realize that you're just dehydrated. You know, it's super common in people, and your muscles are tight and maybe cramping and things like that. What was I saying? So to find it cheap, the natural foods, Aldi has wild caught salmon for $6 a pound frozen. So again, it might require a few more minutes because you have to buy it frozen as opposed to fresh, which is usually frozen beforehand anyway. So it's the same thing. It's just the extra work of taking it out of the pack and thawing it yourself, which takes you, you know, an extra 6 minutes of cooking? Not even, because you put it in the pan, you put it on low or medium at first, and you thaw it out, and, you know, again, it might take a few more minutes, but it's worth it. It's a lot cheaper. I felt great at the end of these 10 days. I feel great all the time, at least when I, you know, strictly abide to these rules. And, you know, I hope you guys did too. The reports that I got back, you guys did feel great. And hopefully it could give you some insight as to how to approach attaining the true lifestyle that you desire, right? And in a reasonable manner, right? Something that you can continue to do for the rest of your life, because that's what this is about. We don't want to start for 10 days and then stop, of course, and that's why it was all feasible. So thank you very much. I hope you got something out of this challenge. If you didn't do it, it's never too late to try it. You can start today. You can start whenever you want, and you don't have to make it 10 days. You can make it 4 days or 100 or a lifetime. So happy Wend Wellness. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, you guys. Let's see who we got on here. Say what's up to the homies. We'll get out of here. What up, Mom? Mano Salva, how you doing? What up, Carl Edwards? Spo Patty, what's happening? Cameron, where can you get cheap nature food? BJ's or Costco? Honestly, I thought, okay, so this is interesting because you say nature food. You know, you're looking primarily, this is things from nature you find at every grocery store. If they're not organic berries and things you can't find there, it's too expensive, just, you know, really wash them well. But Aldi, I was finding, you know, most of all this stuff. You can find pretty much all of it at Costco too. The key is not if it says organic or not, to be honest with you. You know, unless you're talking about, you know, pure produce things, you know, berries, things like that, because you got ingredients. Look at the ingredients. That's the big thing. You know, make sure the peanut butter you got had peanuts and sea salt. You know, not palm oil, not added sugar, right? So you can really get this stuff kind of anywhere, Cameron. You know, just go to the grocery store and look at the ingredients. That's the really, really big thing. You know, and I don't mean to oversimplify it, but that's the truth at the end of the day. Pirate dish, and if you can't pronounce one of the ingredients, you probably shouldn't be having it. Right? Jen J Chef, what's going on? Glensky. Let's see what you got here. You just worked out and you feel like you're plateauing. Nature's expensive. You mix hemp protein powder with your whey powder. Okay, you're looking for extra protein, that's fine. Again, the ingredients of the protein, if it's pure isolate, if it's concentrate, all that's important. If it's from grass-fed beef, you know, is important. For example, now with the plateauing, you got to be switching it up all the time, but you also have to be going to absolute failure every time you're going to the gym. Especially if you're an avid lifter, maybe you've been doing this for a while, right? And maybe you go in there and you do chest every Monday, you do back every Tuesday, whatever it is. You got to mix the spread up a little bit, or even if you have the same spread, you got to be doing different exercises all the time, slightly switching things up. Maybe this week when you did chest, you did bench press, go for some weighted push-ups next week. Activate the core a little bit more, hit the chest in a different way. Don't do tries with chest next week. If you did chest and try, say, just do a chest day or chest and back mix, and then have an arm day, where you hit bis and tries, a few days later when they're recovered from that workout, right? With something in between, of course, like maybe legs or abs or whatever it is, right? So that's one of the big things of plateauing. For avid lifters, it makes a massive difference going to failure or not going to failure, or training for volume, as they say. Like you're training to get 10 reps or 12 reps or things like that. Now, for somebody that is a novice, it doesn't make quite as much of a difference. In fact, there's really not much of a proven difference at all when it comes to training for volume or training to failure, right? But because think about it, somebody that's never worked out, anything they do really is going to have a great impact. They're going to be really sore. And you're going to progress, whether it was to volume or failure. You've been going a lot, then now the fine line, you're reaching the point where to meet a new threshold and to break through, you need to push yourself that little bit more each time. That extra rep is really big. Those extra two are really big. Also, maybe go with a friend so that you can have a spot, because a spot allows you to do some number that is not an absolute 0 or 100% of the rep. Use the bench press as an example. If you don't have a spot and you do 95% of the rep and you get up to here and you can't continue and it comes down and it's 0, right? So it's on your chest or it's on the rack. If you had a spot, they could do that other 5%, or, more importantly, and then after that you could do another rep where you did say 30% and you're burnt. And they're helping the bar just move, just keeping it moving. And you are pushing so hard through that rep, you never would have been able to achieve that level of healthy stress on your musculature as you would had you had a spot, right? So maybe take that into account too. Maybe work out with someone you can push each other to. Nature's expensive, yeah, but it's also very affordable. Look at eggs, eggs are a cheap food. You're going to get them pasture raised, I hope. Preferably they have more vitamins in them, much better for you, more nutrition in the yolk, which is great for you. Don't skip the yolk. That's the best part of the egg, by the way. There's, no correlation between cholesterol and taking heart disease or saturated fat and taking heart disease. Cholesterol has been exonerated in that regard. So, that's a myth that you shouldn't be having your egg yolks. They're great. So that's another thing. Cameron August, what's going on? And Glenn, that's who I was talking to that whole time. I might have said Cameron. We'll walk in. I hope that was helpful, Glenn, in some way. LG Pat, G Sosa, Meg, what's up? Ma, what's up, Rhonda? That is all we got for you guys today. The way I do push-ups does not hurt my elbows at all. Why would it hurt my elbows? What's up? What up, Sama, you beast? You look like an animal, man. I've been seeing you look like a beast. Your stuff. Lavo Steven, how you doing? Lakavistin. What's going on? Sephonias, Introverted, Poppy, and Jakersey, and Kool-Aid Drea Jones. What's happening, you guys? Have a great rest of your night. That's all we got for you. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have a great night. Happy Wellness.